Many kids these days, as you know, are spending lots of their time inside watching TV, YouTube, and playing video games. The main problem with having this way of life is that they might adopt some lazy lifestyle habits that are not healthy for them. We took the Kickapoo High School counselors to answer some questions about why it's important to not have a lazy lifestyle.
So I think the biggest thing I would say for the reason that would not be a good idea is because right now, especially with teenagers, you guys are developing and learning lots of new things. And so if you are not out there trying and learning new things, then it's going to be really hard for you to for teenagers to kind of have an idea of what they actually enjoy doing, what's going on. And then you also have the other, added not so great piece of just activity in terms of like what that does for your both physical and mental health. So not being active, not being out and social is not going to be great for either physical or mental health. I would say a big tip would just be talking to your student about what they're interested in, right? Like if you're trying to force them to do things that they don't like to do, then it's just going to be a constant battle. So don't have that constant battle. Try to find things that they enjoy and then support and hopefully maybe find some things you guys can do together. Biking, ultimate frisbee, whatever it is, do something with your child, because then it's good for them being active, but also your relationship. Like in terms of when we look at both those physical and mental health things, if we're not having those social connections, if we're not meeting people and doing things, we are already seeing that have an impact on people's mental health and depression rates and anxiety rates and all that stuff. So it's definitely going to have an impact there. And the other thing is the way we utilize our devices is certainly going to have some sort of impact long term. I mean, it already is. Like we're living in a very different society now than we were even 8 years ago, because phones are getting better and devices are getting better, and so I do think that there's probably going to be some long-term impacts, partially just because of how, vital to our daily lives those things are becoming. So it's going to change the way that we kind of live.
We're now going to a Hayashi household where Mother of 4 Corinne Hayashi has made some new rules for her kids to make sure they did not fall into this new lazy lifestyle.
I have a chore chart on our wall, and it has a morning routine, afternoon routine, and an evening routine, things that you do before school, after school, before bed. And we have a magnet system that they have to fulfill all those different chores before they can get on devices and before they can get allowance. Because, let's see, they live in a society, they live in this society, they live in a community that I believe that they need to be a part of. And if they're not contributing, they're holding something back, is how I feel. And so we learn in this house that just because mom and dad pay for the house and whatever, they live in this house, they're part of this community, and they have to help out. Like we tell them some chores they don't get allowance for, and that we call like our contribution. And so that's just because they're a part of this community. They have to help it. They have to live here. They have to help out. So that's why I think that's why it's important to not be lazy, because if they're not contributing, then they are holding us back or holding something back. And so I'm trying to teach them those in their life. It's just difficult sometimes. I don't know if I've ever convinced them. It's done time. Yeah. And sometimes they do get upset about it, but not always. A lot of the time, because we've done our routine, I guess. They know that they shouldn't have screen time. Little Pikachu. They usually sometimes get upset, but if I say, hey, we haven't finished A, B, and C, then they know that they need to be done. We've also come across a couple of apps that limit their screen time without us having to limit it. The computer automatically stops them, and so they get upset, but then they shut the computer and put it away. And so we've just recently started that, and so they aren't super excited about it, but it is what it is. I try to set my phone down more. At dinner, this has always been, we don't allow devices at the dinner table for lunch, breakfast, or dinner. And so we try at dinner time and things like that to have like real conversations. When the kids do get upset, they're like, how come you're on your phone? Then that's when I click. I'm like, oh, okay. So I'll put my phone down. We put down the devices. The kids play games with Dad. We let them play with slime. And so that's how I try to be an example. Instead of reading on the Kindle a book, we actually put the Kindle down and we get a real book and we do that. Did you do good in school?
No, I wouldn't do good in school. Because I didn't study, I don't pay attention.
Would the house be clean? Would you live in dirt?
No.
If you didn't clean up? If you were lazy?
If I was lazy and I didn't clean up, do my stuff on my board I have to do. Write a list down before bedtime. Follow my to-do list. And do cheer. Yeah. I think it'll be amazing.
Cheer practices or not doing your homework.
Cheer, but I don't have homework. So that really doesn't affect. Well, it's kind of helpful because they don't scream at me if they get off my devices.
Okay, but do you think it's good for you that you're not spending all this time sitting around? For Chief TV, I'm Seiler Bartelme.